It is awesome to be in Cleveland, Ohio. I was in Chattanooga, Tennessee with 500 men, and I was looking forward to coming to my next stop on the tour, Advancing the Battle Tour. Our ministry is entitled The Intentional Way, and so we look forward to seeing what God wants to do. The reason this particular year is entitled Advancing the Battle, where's my military veterans here? Would you guys stand? Let's honor our military today, shall we? This June the 6th will be the 75th anniversary of D-Day. I will be at the National D-Day Memorial in Bedford, Virginia, with men's discipleship leaders as we draw parallels from what happened 75 years ago on the beaches of Normandy. How many of you guys have traveled to be there in person before? You guys have been to the beaches of Normandy? That's the number one thing on my bucket list. Phil has brought me back a vial of sand, as well as two other guys that know. I was hoping to get to this year for the 75th anniversary. That's going to happen. So the second best thing is to go to Bedford, Virginia. Why Bedford, Virginia? We will hear about that tomorrow morning when we talk about the second of the three questions for this particular weekend. We want to advance the battle that God has called us to. One of your handouts includes a message we adapted for our tour on the 5 principles of battle. And I've placed that there in your chair for you to have access to, and we may refer to that throughout the particular weekend that we have together. But it's just great to be back here at Providence Church 2008. We had a chance to come hang out with you guys for a weekend like this, a Friday night and a Saturday. So I appreciate Steve sharing this with Randy, and we're so thrilled to be with you guys here tonight. Time is the modern day currency. So I'm glad that you're allocating time to be a part of this particular gathering. And I'm also of this particular philosophy of ministry. The gathering is more important than the material. I'm excited to talk to you about manhood as I ask you the first question tonight. Where are you on the spiritual journey? Then tomorrow morning, as we talk about brotherhood, I want to ask you a very significant question. Who's in your foxhole? And then our third session tomorrow will be on fatherhood. Are you being a difference maker? And so, as a pastor of men in 3 different churches, we have the importance of sharing with guys a significant value of all 3 of those elements. So what does biblical manhood look like tonight? We'll describe it to you. And then tomorrow morning we'll break down brotherhood, and we'll also talk about fatherhood. And so it'll be an exciting time together. But hey, I always appreciated the dynamic that I experienced tonight. Just coming and having this meal. I hope you had a chance to get caught with somebody you haven't talked to in a good while. Even a church your size, guys can kind of get lost between the cracks. And again, you have a chance to just break bread together, have an enjoyable meal. I typically don't eat before I speak. I made an exception tonight. And I saw it was on the menu out there. Let's give it up again for Jonathan. There's a very interesting place in South Alabama, Andalusia, Alabama, a little wide spot in the road. And on the 3rd Thursday night of every month, they feed a free steak to a lot of your guys that you're reaching in downtown Cleveland. It's a community outreach that churches share in that gathering. And there's an old schoolhouse built in 1930 where they meet. And so these various churches from about a 60-mile radius will bring delegations of men to those gatherings once a month. They have nationally known speakers come through there. So I was privileged to be with those guys back in August. And they serve a free steak dinner every time we gather. But even my friends in South Alabama didn't have a steak like we had tonight. And so that was great, man. We appreciate that. But you know what? Just to hear you guys, the buzz in that room was so valuable to me. Because as I travel the country, and this particular weekend, we're going to convert this into a locker room environment. The military is a place where the scriptures give us numerous examples to heed God's instructions. And since we break out some of those thoughts, we find a lot of things in the scriptures from the military. And then also, the Apostle Paul primarily spent a lot of time chronicling the Olympian Games of his era and lessons we could learn in our journey of faith. And so being a former high school coach, then I look forward to sharing some lessons with you in in that regard. Our ministry theme is from 1 Thessalonians 2:8. And the Apostle Paul is challenging the church at Thessalonica in that passage of Scripture. He begins to offer commendation to what is happening in that church. Just like I want to offer commendation for what God is doing here. A lot of leaders are here tonight, and that's exciting. A lot of places I go, I talk to the average guys in the congregation, and a few leaders are able to join us because, man, they're allocating time in leadership venues, and so we don't always get a high percentage of those fellows to attend with us. So I really appreciate you leaders being here. But Paul is commending those guys in chapter 2. And he gets down to verse number 8. He says this: I delighted to share with you not only the good news of the gospel, but to share my life as well. And so I'm going to start with you leaders tonight. A number of you lead flocks. A number of you are elders. A number of you teach the word on a rotating basis. But let's talk about how do we share our lives more effectively with the average guy in our local church. If Jesus knew his players from his era, how well do we know ours? We'll talk about that some more tomorrow. And for all of us here tonight, whether you're new to the faith, you're growing in your faith, you're leading others in that particular process. The foundational qualities in every man's life is found in Proverbs 1:5, where the scripture says this: teach a wise man, and he will increase in learning. The two essential qualities that I see in that particular passage of scripture is a humble spirit and a teachable spirit. And I would hope if you're a seasoned veteran, you know the original language as well, that throughout this weekend, whether it's breaking bread together, having a table discussion, informal times, or as we challenge you from God's Word, that you'll be an open vessel and you'll be receptive. There may be just one little small nugget that God may plant in your heart to see you continue to grow in your faith. Because I told the men in my locker room, hey, when you're through improving, you're through. And so our journey of faith is not a destination, it's a constant growth process. But I'm here to share my life with you and have some others who will join me throughout the weekend. It'll be very interactive. So some of you already asked some of your answers to my questions in the last 24 hours. Would you share that with a group tomorrow night and or Saturday? And there'll be some people coming up there doing that, as well as other opportunities. We'll give a chance for you guys. I would also say that sharing your life includes getting around the table and having some discussion time. And so, as a part of each session, we'll either as a group have a group discussion on that particular topic, or we'll break out and have individual discussion. We'll definitely do that tomorrow morning when we talk about brotherhood. And so that'll be part of the morning session as we gather after breakfast. And we may do a group session on fatherhood, and I may do a group session with you here tonight. But we want to have some interaction. We want to invite you to participate. I'm going to ask Rick, who is my table mate tonight, in our discussion, if he'll join me up front. Where's Rick? He's in the back. He's one of our leaders here at Providence. He leads one of the flocks. We're the guys that attend his flock. He's got 10 guys that attend on Monday nights. If you attend Rick's flock, would you stand up, please? And see how many guys he's got here. He's got 3. He's got 4. And counting 7, he's got 5. He's back 500. That's pretty good.
Yeah, he's a little slow. You didn't get up right.
That's right. But in my get acquainted session with Rick tonight, representing some of the leaders, I said, Rick, at the end of this weekend together, the gathering is more important than the material, in my estimation. But what would be a win for you? You got some of your guys coming and attending, and others may have been interested but not available. However, in every church where I travel, there are guys who are available but not interested. That's going to be part of our topic tonight. But Rick said something very, very insightful. And I said, are you willing to share that with the group? Because I felt like that was a great way. And so he'll be the lead-off batter tonight. No pressure, Rick. No pressure. You know, we expect you to get on base. Not that home run. But he shared something very insightful. So tell the guys what will make this weekend a win. What are we talking about?
Well, I just said that I would hope that through our meetings, through discussion, whatever it is, that the Lord will prompt the men of Providence Church, the body of Christ here, to model discipleship, just relationships that are tight and not necessarily that we would agree on everything. But they see that we are one body and one mind together, and that we support each other, and the relationships are not easily, it says that many cords are not easily broken. So that was our conversation.
And all the men of God said, all right, give it up for Rick when you're on. A spiritual awakening will not fully occur without a heart transformation among men. Some of you guys that are new to the faith, I was having a conversation with a couple of fellas, and I heard a lot of behavioral modification. Hey, they're coming here this weekend to kind of clean their act up, become a better guy. That's not what God is looking for. You see, behavior will be transformed after God meets our heart. Gary Rossberg from Omaha, Nebraska, I've been privileged to be with him in numerous conferences, and I'll never forget, very quick with him services together. When Gary Rossberg and I were together, his life verse is Proverbs 4:23. And the last thing that he told me after we left the conference, speaking of him, he placed his hand over my heart and says, Coach, guard your heart. And that's what that passage of Scripture says. Proverbs 4:23. Guard your heart, for out of it are the issues, or the wellspring of life. And so we're looking to see a heart transformation among men. Now that has happened for many of you here tonight. I've had a chance to do some research on many of you and to try to find out maybe where you are in your journey of faith. These 6 schools tonight will indicate to us with a visual illustration of where we are on the journey of life. These are things we've grasped from pastoring men for 28 years and now traveling to 42 states and over 1,000 churches from Portland, Maine to Portland, Oregon. And I've seen this played out. And so I hope that tonight, this first question, you'll get a grasp on where you are on your journey. But throughout that process, wherever you are, God is looking for us to guard our hearts and to constantly, yes, not just His amazing grace at the point of salvation, but throughout our life, God's transforming grace, God's sustaining grace. So enjoyed the interviewing Randy on our podcast today, The Intentional Way with Coach K. He's talking about being with some young life leaders. They want to finish well. And that's a great illustration going into tomorrow's topic on who's who you're from. So, well, listen, I want to find out who's in my locker room. If we've transitioned to that kind of setting, let's find out who's here. We're going to look by generations and identify these 5 particular groups. So when I talk about your particular generation, I want to have you come here and stand up in front of the group so we can recognize you guys and be part of this particular process. So, we think about the 5 generations of men. Let's first of all meet the guys born between 1925 and 1945. If you guys will come up here, let's give it up for these fellows from the Builder generation. 1925 and 1945. He's the only one in the house, too. Not a couple. Okay. All right, come on, Phil. Hey, Phil was my stagecoach driver. He brought me to Cleveland. Can you give it up for him for doing that? You'll hear part of his story this weekend because he was here, not in this particular church, but a sister Free Church, Trinity in Amherst, Ohio. And he came to Charlotte, North Carolina. He was a man being left behind. And we're going to break out his story on what God did in his heart in coming to Charlotte and being a part of that. He represents a generation which is represented in your church. You'll have some people like this. That's the radio generation. That was the high-tech issue for them. And big band music was listened to, as well as other particular programs. And so that was a crucial aspect for that particular realm. And so their family experience, which is crucial to understand from a cultural manhood standpoint, close-knit, single-income family, dad was a breadwinner. In Charlotte, North Carolina, we were riding around seeing all your industry today. We had a little snack cracker called Lance Crackers that made a big hit, and his dad was out there on the assembly line carrying that out as a breadwinner of that family. That is the Builder generation. Let's meet generation number 2. My crowd, born between 1946 to 1964. Let's have you guys come on up in the front. Let's welcome the boomer generation. 46 to 64. Just on the white line, single file, guys. There we go. Up on the white line. 1946 to 1964. Hey, we went from the radio to television. Now, for some of us, it was black and white, rabbit ears. My grandfather got a rotary antenna. We thought we were really high tech when that came around. But we boomers, we enjoyed watching, good old programming on television. And while the builders experienced Pearl Harbor Day, we experienced the Kennedy assassination in 1963. Pivotal moment in our lives. What kind of a family life did we have? It was a dispersed, two-income family. Things began to take place economically, and so now let's send mom to work. No longer dad was the breadwinner only, and so we expanded out the horizons. And so a lot of us were latchkey kids, come home and watch them Leave It to Beaver, Gilligan's Island, and the Andy Griffith Show. So that was us, the boomer generation. Thanks for being here, guys. A large contingency tonight for the boomers. Okay? 1965 to 1979. Going on the white line. 1965 to 1979. Large contingency. This is Generation X. Hey, they put the Commodore 64 out on the market. They took us to Radio Shack and began advances down the pipeline. So we've gone from the radio to television to the early stages of the computer era. These guys had a lifelong experience as far as the Challenger disaster. They will remember that as they were growing up as being very formative as a major national event. And their family perspective, all of a sudden the family began to fracture. Not necessarily in their particular households, but generationally in the culture. And as a result, single parents, divorce from childhood, and father's wounds begin to appear. You see, as we talk about biblical manhood this evening, we need to also look at the backdrop of what cultural manhood has been revealing to us. And so that's part of the culture that this particular group came from as the family began to fracture in Gen X. 1965 to 1979. Give it up for the Gen X. The fourth generation is 1980 to 1995. You guys are doing a great white line. 1980 to 1995. These are the millennials. 1980 to 1995. Okay? On the white line here, generation number 4. So the Commodore 64 and a few of the old Pong video games weren't advanced enough, so they began to take things to a higher level and eventually introduce us to the internet. And so Generation Y, or more commonly called the millennials, they're known as the internet generation. 9/11 was the major national event in their particular era of time. The family experience began to be much looser. Divorce continued to be rampant. A lot of broken homes. And the identity gender issues began to crop up with the millennials. 1980 to 1995. Now, the numbers for the boomers and Gen X were strong. Now the numbers are dropping. All across America, the number one question that I get asked of me in the realm of discipleship, not just men, but across the board. Hey, we need to become more effective in reaching millennials. And so a lot of churches are struggling. The leadership depth chart is very limited. And we got to see these guys as aspiring leaders to come along and to be mentored and be brought along in such a fashion. I had a conversation with 2 of these guys here tonight, and I was encouraged by what they were sharing with me, that they appreciate some of you guys mentoring them and having the desire to come alongside. And Pete was one of those guys at my table. And I said, Pete, I really appreciate you being here this weekend. And I was asking him what was going to take to be a win. And he's longing for some of you guys to set the tone and set the pace and set the example. So so he can follow you in that fashion. So we need more millennials with that kind of a humble spirit and a teachable spirit. And the fact that these guys are here speaks volumes, because they got lots of options, and oftentimes they think other things than this on a Friday night. So let's welcome the millennials. And then finally, 1996 to 2012. 1996 to 2012. Generation Z is the digital generation. Just like the millennials advanced the computer age into the internet and gave us the World Wide Web, these guys have never known anything other than a small miniature computer that they carry around in their pockets. And so this digital age, social media, these guys haven't seen a legal pad or used one in their lives that you builders knew about, right? That's a different world for these guys. But also, we see here tonight, where our numbers in a case like this. I always challenge leaders that as you look at the health of your church, as it in regards to men, you need to look at these 5 generations. And tonight, what I typically see, there's 2 generations kind of carrying the load. And may God continue to help you guys advance the kingdom. But this is the future, these last 2 generations. And we've got to have a chance to take a step back. We do a lot of church consultations. We conduct ministry audits. And we start with the team roster. And so I want to salute these guys for coming out tonight. They especially don't typically show up at occasions like this. This is for the old guys in the congregation. But no, they're here. And I've had a chance to have some interaction with some of them. And they have a desire to learn and grow. They're going to need some mentoring. They may not recognize it until the weekend. But one of the ways that I'd like to see a win take place is some of you fellows out there that are leaders of flocks. Hey, I know your margin is so limited, but I hope as you see these fellows and you have a chance to interact with them along the way, that you know what? Hey, here's the guy Luke. You know, I can spend some time with him. Maybe we'll go to one of the Indians games this summer. You know, or we'll go on a hiking trip. Or I heard he's an avid golfer. Let's go out there and play 9 holes. You know, you'll have a chance to take my friend Will down to Clemson, South Carolina. He comes down once a year, hanging out with his granddad, and he and his father. His father's had to bow down to the throne of Dad Swing and give up his Ohio State football card. He allows Will. I walked to this Clemson room last night and had a lot of fun with that. But it's been good to have college football as a point of connection. And I'm so glad he is here tonight because we've had informal conversations traveling down the interstate. But I hope this weekend, not only his dad, Steve Trenta, who I've been privileged to come alongside of Randy and others and invest in his world, but also this weekend, they'll have a chance to say, wow, you know, when men get it right, everybody wins. And I want to be one of those guys that get it right. Not in my power, my strength, but as others set the tone. So, let's be thankful for this generation and have a desire to reach him along the way. Generation Z, do that for them. So those are the 5 generations in our locker room. If we had every man that the church has some affiliation with, some of those numbers would vary. So that's not a total accurate survey of where we are, generation speaking. But I always share that as an illustration to kind of give you an understanding to see where guys are. Cultural manhood is crucial to grasp and understand. So as we talk about declaring the whole counsel of God and challenging these guys in whatever generation to understand biblical manhood, if you don't have an understanding of where they're coming from culturally, then oftentimes you'll be ineffective in reaching them. And so I would challenge each of you leaders to grasp them in full understanding, especially if they're not from your generation. How do those guys think, act? And a lot of times we get frustrated, these older generations, with the way some of these guys tend to go through their mode of life. But Jesus Christ met his followers right where they were. And he wanted to desire to take them to where he longed for them to be. And again, if Jesus knew his players, shouldn't we know ours? John 10:27, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. But I insert the word men when I talk to guys in my locker room. And listen, the Lord of the universe, He has a desire for you to be following Him. And we want to be listening and hearkening to His voice. But we forget that fact that Jesus knew His players. Then therefore we should know ours. So be life on life, be relational, and live out 1 Thessalonians 2:8. Not just to share the written word, but to also share the living word. Give away your life, invest outside of a classroom at a formal setting, and it could be a conversation around a table, or a nice steak dinner, or throughout the weekend, over some of these discussion topics, where you'll be able to grasp a little bit more about where these individuals are coming from generationally, and where they are spiritually along those lines. Most important thing I came to do with you this weekend is not to speak to you. By now you figured out I'm a simple person, and we're going to share with you some nuggets of truth, and I trust the Holy Spirit will take them and lodge them in your heart. But the thing that I enjoy spending time with men doing is seeking the face of Almighty God. Throughout this week, you've been prayed for by now. I'd asked a question, a registration list, and as that list went from 20 to 30 to 40 to in the mid-50s, your name was lodged on there, and I did some research on where some of you guys are coming from. And even tonight, I had 5 or 6 conversations. One individual told me he's walking here facing a tremendous challenge in his life. We're getting ready to talk about where he is in his journey of faith. And I said, no, well, thanks for coming tonight. I appreciate you being here. You didn't have to show up. But no man is an island, and no man stands alone. And I want that individual to experience togetherness tonight. That he should not go through that challenging period of his life all alone. And so again, tomorrow we're going to unpack that more when we talk about foxhole friends. But I enjoy seeing the face of God. The way I like to do that is the way we used to have in my locker rooms. We had huddles. So I'm going to ask you to drop your materials down, and this is going to make an oval around these sets of chairs. So just move out the outside, some to the back, get shoulder width apart as we have a prayer huddle to start our time off this evening. To tighten it up, let you, links and things. You guys want to fall a little bit? We'll kind of spill around and get it right. Now, first of all, the man code. I don't want to hold your hand, I want to hold a wife's hand. Okay? So the man code we pray is supposed to be demonstrated right here, shoulder to shoulder. So you get in that position right there, shoulder to shoulder. And that's a symbol of togetherness. Come on in this way so we can break this back. Come in closer. If you walk forward, we're going to have this. Let's pray together. Father, thank you for these 5 generations of men. I trust this weekend that, Lord, we can just submit ourselves to you. That we will come in with open palms, open hearts, and desire to see and openness to your will. For those that know you, would you strengthen their faith? For those who are struggling in their journey, may they realize that no man is an island and no man stands alone. Give us a capacity to reach across generational lines and to get to know each other better. During all of our conversations in the group setting, as well as the breakout times, we would pray, Lord, you would rule and reign. It's our privilege to be here. We brought our 5 loaves and our 2 fish. We ask you to break and bless them, not because we deserve it, but because we desire. And may you touch the hearts of at least one man, especially the man that walked in tonight, and declared to me he's a very challenging period of his life. And all the men of God said, amen. You may be seated. I want you to take the handout that has a golf ball in front of it. And we're going to start out tonight by asking you the first question. Where are you on the course of life? In pastoring men for 28 years, in crawling in foxholes, in training leaders of men, in desiring to see God reach and disciple men, these are my observations from those 28 years on pastoral staff. And then even more importantly, to see it solidified in my travels to 42 states. So from Portland, Maine, where I'll be again this coming August, to Portland, Oregon, these are opportunities to share with you where are men on the journey of life. As we think of this first particular location, we see the men who are spiritually off course. The Gospels describe those particular individuals on a regular basis, particularly in the Gospel of Luke, where they describe the fact that the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. The word lost means to be spiritually off course. We're longing to reach these kind of guys. And so maybe tonight, those kind of fellas didn't walk in the doors, but I never make that assumption, because some guys that tend to get invited to some of these gatherings may not be designed as an outreach, but just one fellow walks in to walk the car lot, raise the hood, kick the tires. According to God's sovereign plan, we would trust that the true gospel will be communicated to him. But the majority of the time, we find this individual in the community, and it's on your watch and mine to go communicate the good news to that individual. That's the first stage of the process in this whole journey. Secondly is the man who is in the rough. You guys have played golf. You know what happens when your ball lands in that particular area. That really represents a guy who's spiritually inquiring. In fact, the ultimate inquirer to me was the young man Zacchaeus. He's ascended into a tree. He's longing to meet the master rabbi who's coming through his area. And when Jesus reached out to have a conversation with him, because Jesus was life on life, he did not invite him to come study systematic theology. He instead said, hey, I will come to your house. And there's something significant about that. The Jewish culture represented the importance of welcoming people into the home. Here's a man who is spiritually inquiring. He's longing to meet Jesus, understand fully God's plan for his life. That's the spiritual inquiry. God is going to do the drawing. God is going to reach out and reveal himself in his time and in his way. But these first two placements on the course of life signify men in the community. Hey, I'm from your tribe. I grew up in another tribe, but discipleship was not as important a priority as it should have been. And so we transitioned to your tribe. The Evangelical Free Church of America, I don't know of a better group that gets the job done. You guys got some great stuff going on here with fellows that really have a deep heart for God and want to go further in their faith. But I will submit to you, the weakness I found across the country in spending time with churches that are doing a super job with guys that are being drawn to the Lord and want to grow in their faith is we sometimes forget that these guys exist. That's why I'm glad there's a guy like Randy. Randy, would you stand and turn around? Or excuse me, Barry. He's leading the homeless ministry. Come up here and join me for a second. He was at my table tonight. God's placed a burden on your life for some of these fellows that are being left behind. So you've seen some men from this church coming to join you. So very briefly, tell us about what's going on in downtown Cleveland.
Well, if any of you don't know, every Saturday we have the opportunity to host breakfast for approximately 200 people downtown. Most of them are homeless, some live in the community. Our main goal is to share Christ and to share our love for these people that are really hurting and have been beaten down, tromped down by life, and we just want to give them an opportunity to have what God so graciously gave us, who poured his love into us, and for the purpose for us to share that with others.
Amen. If you participated in that ministry, would you stand, please? Going down and feeding the homeless. Some guys here have been able to do that this far. Let's give it up for these guys doing that. And I'm sure there's many other initiatives, many other ways. You guys are strong on missions, as in the churches that I've been on staff with. And so we want to see the gospel go to the end of the ages. And so let's don't forget these guys in the community. They typically are off the radar. We have to be intentional to get them raised up to the level of awareness so we can also communicate his love to others. So the man who is spiritually off course and the man who is spiritually inquiring, these are the two original placements on the course of life. Now we'll get into where most of you will find yourselves, in one of these four stages of your journey. And by the way, there's movement along the way. It's not a natural progression necessarily. And so as we see this play out, we'll follow that along the way. James 5:13 says, "Are any of you suffering hardships?" The third man on this whole spiritual journey is the man who is spiritually suffering. He's lost his job. He's lost his health. He may be going through a caregiving episode with a loved one. He may have experienced a broken relationship. Did you know oftentimes when the ships dock in the harbor on a given Sunday morning, we rarely get below the water line? It's very abnormal for a man to walk in and meet somebody like me, totally brand new, and lay the card on the table he did when he walked in here tonight. He may go through the whole weekend and none of you have any clue about what he's facing. Because the spiritually suffering man typically is going to play it close to the vest. You see, God has wired women to be relational, and they tend to trade some baseball cards. But, you know, we want to kind of pull ourselves up our bootstraps, and we're going through a difficult situation. We'll try to figure it out on our own. That makes us very, very vulnerable. And we talk tomorrow morning about brotherhood and foxhole friends. You can't wait till you're in this hardship to discover some foxhole friends. They need to be developed along the road of life. So when crisis happens, they are there. Most men have a guy they call at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But only a few guys have somebody they call at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to ask Phil and Joe Dearborn to join me up here. Joe Dearborn is from Toronto, Canada. He's an Ohio State fan, so I should welcome him. This is his foxhole friend, Phil Bechtold. We were all together at an E3 church in Charlotte, North Carolina. I was on staff. Phil was there growing. Joe was a fellow elder. Joe is now back in his native Toronto, Canada. And I reached out to him and I said, Joe, I know you and Phil talk on the phone on a regular basis. But you know what? We're coming up to Cleveland, as we did back in 2008. I said, that'd be a fantastic thing for you to drop in. I know it's a 6-hour trip, but I know you got family over here in Pennsylvania. Maybe you connect the dots. No obligation, just an invitation. And what did Joe do? He dropped in here this afternoon. We're driving up the road. And I was telling Phil as we were in West Virginia, I said, Phil, when's the last time you've heard from Joe Dearborn? Oh, it's been a couple weeks. He said, let's call him on the phone. Because I do that when I drive with people. We maximize the drive time fellowship. We talked to 4 or 5 people while we were driving up here. One guy who was hurting, we reached out to, and Phil said, rightfully so, hey, I think we made a difference in that man's life today. But I knew if Joe showed up, there'd be a fantastic reunion with these guys. And so I videotaped it walking in the door tonight as Joe was here to reunite with his friend. You see, you can't teach a hurting man. Phil's wife is battling Alzheimer's. And so these days are difficult days for him. My wife is there as well as family members providing some caregiving to Diane Bechtold while Phil is here with us this particular weekend. You don't teach a hurting heart. You come alongside and crawl on a man's foxhole. Phil will share more tomorrow on the significance of that. But I just want to acknowledge Joe for making the effort to come 6 hours and be a part of this and investing in his friend. And all the men of God said. Amen. If you're suffering a hardship in your life, this is the stage in your spiritual journey. Christ wants to come and let us experience the fellowship of his sufferings, as the Apostle Paul declared in the book of Philippians. Be on the lookout for those guys that may look a little gimpy in their spiritual walk and desire to reach out to them and get below the waterline as the ships dock in the harbor on a given Sunday. The fourth placement. This is the man I've given my life to. Over 3 decades, as I have had a chance to be involved in local church ministry, and then also longing to see God do a work around this country. Such a man was Phil Bechtold, who is here at this particular stage in 2019 with me in Cleveland. But as he transitioned in 2003 from Amherst, Ohio to Charlotte, North Carolina, he was falling between the cracks. He's an avid golfer, but in his spiritual walk, he was a man on the fringe. The scripture describes him in Hebrews chapter 5, verse number 13, as being inexperienced in God's ways. Now that's that famous passage on the milk and the meat. And we get frustrated because these guys won't dive into the meat. Hey, didn't we have a great steak again tonight? Fantastic. You know? But they're just kind of working around the potatoes, maybe a little cherry pie. But then they don't take that knife and fork and dive into that juicy steak. Churches, including churches like yours, you'll have a less percentage of these guys than the average church because they're so strong in disciple making. But I'm telling you, if it's 5% or 20%, that's 20% too many. And the job is yet to be finished in that process. These men on the fringe, the average church has 50 to 70% of their men in this particular aspect of the journey. They have experienced God's amazing grace, but they're not longing to follow Him. A disciple is a pupil, a student, a learner. You remember Allen Iverson from the Philadelphia 76ers? He told Coach Larry Brown, practice? Who wants to come to practice? Let's just go play the games. You see, we can't veto the discipleship process. There's a chance for us to go dive deeply and to see God expand our horizons as we gain more of an understanding of who He is, His purpose and plan for our lives. Are you showing for practice? Or are you the guy that's on the fringe? There'll be other chairs filled here tonight if some of these guys on the fringe begin to get it right. But I would hope that you as a leader, as they tend to frustrate you, because they're not interested in the things of God. Now, they may have bought, as we would say in the South, a fire insurance, and they didn't really understand the true gospel of Jesus Christ. There could be a percentage of them in that fashion. But I think in many occasions, it's like some of the athletes I used to coach, they were inexperienced in God's ways. Dick Mack is over here. Dick, let's stand up and recognize you tonight. All conference offensive lineman for the Ohio State Buckeyes in the 70s. Man was the leading blocker for Archie Griffin with his first Heisman Trophy. And fantastic to know that his brother is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We stopped yesterday to spend a little time. We didn't get a chance to tour it. We just kind of walked around the grounds for a few moments. His brother played second base when one of my baseball heroes, my grandfather, grew up loving Bob Feller. That was his favorite player. And so I got to be a Bob Feller assigned baseball. I'll tell you the story tomorrow of how I got this in 1993 when Michael Jordan was trying to play baseball. You remember that episode for about 3 years, trying to find himself. And there was an interesting story with Michael Jordan and Bob Feller in Winter Haven, Florida. And I'll tell that to you tomorrow. But to know that his dad played second base in 1940 when Feller got his first and only no-hitter on opening day. It has never been duplicated since then. Still the only opening day no-hitter in Major League Baseball history. His father salvaged that with the last out of the game as a second baseman. And I was just hearing Feller tell this story. He's passed away a couple years ago, but Bob Feller has. But there's a recording of that, him talking about some of his exploits. And so we'll build on that story tomorrow and talk about Bob Feller's legacy. But hey, there's guys that have a chance to come to practice. He didn't become all Big Ten just overnight. He had to put forth some effort. Now, we're not talking about expending human effort that takes us away from our transformation, but from a standpoint of our love and our dedication for God to become wholly devoted in our faith. But the man on the fringe has not yet come to that place. But I will submit to you as a former coach, this man is inexperienced. He may be inexperienced generationally. And some of these young guys that stood up here earlier for Generation 5, some of you need to come alongside and give them some experience so they can understand their particular way in the journey. I ask pastors and leaders all across America, what is your greatest challenge? Because I'm on a quest to see these guys being reached. That's too high of a number. You have over 50% in the average church. You got a couple hundred guys having affiliation with you. And so we got at least this many, if not more, than are here tonight. Some of these guys are available, but not interested. That's the man on the fringe. Let's go reach them and to give them some experience, and so that God can take them to greater heights and deeper depths. Just like we had some large numbers generationally, we would also have a lot of you in this particular stage of the process, and that's the man who is spiritually growing. Philippians 3:5 says, who have grown to be spiritually mature. the aspect of growing. You haven't arrived at this station, but you're desiring to know more of the Lord. I can pick it up in that particular. You go to some places where there's a bunch of fringe guys. That will not be that dynamic we had around the dinner table tonight. Because you see, it's the joy of the Lord exuding. It's the opportunity to get together with some other guys and break his bread, getting caught up a little bit. When a man is growing in his faith, exuberance, anticipation. Coach Sweeney comes in the locker room, he's building a culture that attracts other major athletes to come and join our team. And so that's the culture of disciple making when a guy is growing. It's just tremendous to see what God is up to in their life. And so we like to trade God stories and to hear these just amazing aspects of the journey of faith. That's the man who's on the green from a golf parallel. He's growing in his faith. And then we come to this particular aspect of the journey, and that's the man who is spiritually leading. Let me have all the leaders here at Providence to stand. Now we have some flock leaders, some elders, some staff guys. If you're a leader in the congregation, would you stand up, please? Would you just commend these fellows? I want you guys to join me on the white line, if you will, please. Okay? So as I travel the country, there'll be 5 or 6 of these guys join me on a given Friday night. The other 5 or 6 will tell me, hey, my wife and I, we're going to crawl in a foxhole. We're trying to help rescue the marriage. We need to go pray for a hurting man. We need to go make a hospital visit. They're rightfully involved in other aspects. I don't expect them to always come to what's happening. But I still appreciate when they give up time that they prepare and preparing for you guys to show up to their flocks, or come to one of their leadership classes, to be involved at a staff level, elders meetings, so many things going on behind the scenes. You're in church transition here, so a lot of extra hours are being spent with these guys and helping to shoulder the burden. So I want to switch you guys first of all. But I want to challenge all you guys sitting out here. I want you to stand. First of all, thank you for being honest. You do not consider yourself to be in either functioning as a leader or in that particular stage of your journey. You're growing, you're aspiring, you're longing, maybe you're an elder in training, you're in some discipleship pathway, and you're longing to see God work in and through you. That's your honest and humble perspective and objective. These are the leaders of Providence E-Free Church. It is every man who is standing. God may not have you in the function of an official office of an elder. You may not be called to facilitate or lead a flock. You may not be on a church staff. But listen, if Jesus Christ has overwhelmed you with His amazing grace, if you're still out on the fringe, or you're some growing pattern, God has a plan for you to be a leader. You're to lead your family. You're to be a leader in your community. You're to be a leader in the various other aspects of your life. And so, everywhere I go, I trumpet this call. These are the leaders that our Heavenly Father sees. Now, that doesn't mean we bypass the growth pattern. That doesn't mean we short-circuit some of these various aspects. So we may find ourselves at a different stage along the way. But all of you men, it is God's desire and design for you to be on the white line. So I hope that you'll accept that challenge and you'll have a desire to heed God's call. Again, not necessarily in some official capacity, but you will assume that role. You say, I can't even leave my family. And I had a broken relationship. I'm just a single dude. Because there's some single guys that did some research on that. Hey, you got to lead yourself under the power of the Holy Spirit as you place yourself before the Lord. Galatians 2:20. I identified myself completely with Him. That's the big idea of this first topic tonight on biblical manhood. It's for you to get to the place to completely identify yourself with Him. You can be seated, and you can return to your seats. Tomorrow, we will talk about fatherhood. And I will describe to you in more detail my experience as a young man growing up. My father responded to God's amazing grace at the age of 26. My mother was the spiritual leader of our family for the first number of years of my life. I'm the oldest of 3 children. But from 26 to 33, hey, Dad was out on the fringe. He wasn't guarding his heart. He wasn't growing in his faith. He did not assume his leadership role. My mother continued to take me and have me heavily involved as a young boy. But something happened at age 33. And my dad began to see God high and lifted up. He began to desire to grow in his faith. He recognized Philippians 1:6 that God is at work in this spiritual construction zone. And he claimed his life verse, Galatians 2:20. May I long to completely identify myself with him. The man on the fringe has yet to fully realize that. We must be patient and come alongside those guys who are inexperienced in God's ways and desire to take them a step at a time. Just like the last generation is the digital generation, this is a digital readout. A man who's on the fringe takes many steps. You know, he's just leapfrogged from fringe to growth. No, but the growth pattern begins to take place. And guess what? You'll take 2 or 3 steps forward, and then you'll take a few steps back. That seems to be the cycle of life we go through. But God longs for us to, over time, continually move in this progress. Not to a destination. 6.0 is not what you're trying to achieve. No. It's like an algebra class. That line continues on until infinity, or in our case, eternity. Till the Lord calls us home, He's still going to work in and through us. And these guys must come back and help the people who are called by God to go reach the homeless or to go on mission trips. And they say, you know what, these fellows in the community, that's not my primary calling in my evangelism efforts, but I want to support prayerfully and I want to support practically what is going on. I want to be in tune with God to the degree that I'm not counting the number of guys that come to my flock, but who are the fellows in the congregation that are struggling and are suffering, that I can come alongside in the best time. Jesus said some have compassion, making a difference. And then, these inexperienced fellows, they say, man, wasn't that great? Enjoying that steak? Wasn't that great hanging out with some of the guys? Hey, I'd love to have you come and join our flock. Rick's already told me he's got room for some more in his flock, and he's got 10 guys. Okay? So, I hope there's open communion in all your flocks. Or we launch some new flocks. So, win for me, Rick, is when 3 more guys, who may not even be here tonight, they're at home, sitting on the fringe. But prayerfully and thankfully that God has given us the privilege to walk alongside so that we will shepherd these people in such a way as a leader that in turn they will respond to the goodness of God. And they will completely identify themselves with Him. Father, we've come to ask these men this question. There are great questions in the Bible. They're asked on many occasions. What do you think of Christ? Is probably the most significant question ever asked. And so for the men of the community, we would want to ultimately ask them that. But I would pray, as we take time to kind of break some of this down, you'll give us that capacity to sit around some tables and talk about where are we in the journey of faith, and then also who we longing to meet, to see them go further down this spiritual path. Cultural manhood has served up some really poor examples. We've got to have guys assuming a role and leading the way. Every man in this room is designed by you to lead in some capacity. Again, not necessarily the function of the title of an office, There's constitutions, there's church governments, there's all things that guide it. We're not backing away from those attributes of Timothy and Titus. Those 20 attributes that every man should ascend to. But give us the heart of God so that each of us can show some progress and desire to go further. That you can work in and through us in some small way to advance your kingdom. We commit this to you. And all men of God said. Amen. One final brief interview. We're going to split up and do our discussion time. There's facilitators that will be leading the way. And I hope that all of you will be encouraged to be a part of that. To me, that's some of the most important things that will happen this weekend, is what happens on those tables. And there'll be some refreshments and stuff too to hang out and be a part of that. But where's the co-guy at tonight? He's new on the horizon. Let's welcome here tonight. I spent time with Steve and Melinda Trenton and Will. And I thought it was a fascinating story, this foreign exchange student comes into their world. And they get a chance to introduce the American culture to them, but also the church culture of Providence Sea Free. Wave your hand at him if you've met him in church before. Okay? I get a number of you, but not everybody raised their hands. So some of you this is new here. I asked permission for him to get up here tonight and share a few words. But I thought it might be helpful for you to see somebody from a different culture to walk in your setting. And so we had mentioned this earlier to you. First of all, thanks for being up here tonight. It's an honor to meet you. I really enjoyed hearing about your story. Welcome to America, and welcome to Providence. Amen? Amen. So tell me about some of your experiences thus far. Let's talk about, first of all, the family. The Trenta family. What have they meant to you so far?
So, the Trenta's family is the best family I've ever met. So, I'm not like, to be honest, like, it's true, like, for me, because, like, the beginning I got here, I couldn't speak English, I didn't know about America, you know, I'm not familiar with around here. So, then, even though I couldn't talk to, like, I couldn't have a conversation with them, like, keep talking to him, like Steve, he was very kind. He was trying to help me. So then, like, I don't know, because of him, the beginning, I came to United States. My life was very comfortable. Like, you know, like it was easy to live in United States because of his help. So that's why he's the best person, like best, I don't know, I can't say friend, but like he's like my parents. So yeah, he's my best American parents. Yeah.
As we would say in the English language, hospitality is what you just got finished describing. And so we're glad that he came into a very hospitable family, right? Secondly, there's something that even supersedes hospitality, and that's Christian hospitality. What have you experienced walking through the halls of Providence, attending services? What's been your experience thus far in this whole spiritual matter?
So it was the Providence Church is our first church I came to. I've never been to church in Japan. So the good things of Providence Church is like there's an international department. So some people are in international department of Providence Church, like Steve family. That's how I met. So I mean, like Providence Church is trying to help international students. So try to help people from other culture. So which is really awesome for international students because we don't know about American culture. So Providence Church gives a good opportunity for international students to experience American culture, which is like Christianity. So that's why like I have an opportunity once or once to learn about Christianity through Bible discussion, which is consists of international students, also like people who go to church. They host Bible discussion for international students. So I guess that's the kind of good part of Providence Church. Also like
That's great that he's had such a good experience with you guys. And it starts with one family sharing the good news, welcoming him. We can belong before we believe. And we're so glad to know our new friend and the quest that he has on this journey of life. And so it's great to be able to meet you tonight. And I commend this church for showing him Christian hospitality beyond just the earthly family that he's been experiencing there. But we're thrilled that you're here, and we just trust and pray that God will continue to give guidance and wisdom and reveal his purpose and plan for your life. And all of them God said. Amen. Thank you, God. Appreciate that. So we're going to go to the table times.